Welcome to Stories with Brisco and Bradshaw. I would be Bradshaw. That would be your Chickasaw native, your Chickasaw Hall of Famer, Oklahoma's favorite son, Mr. Gerald Brisco. And we have got one of the greatest attractions in professional wrestling history. He's won championships all over the world, the PWF Championship with All Japan, the Caribbean Championship, NWA Georgia Heavyweight Championship, WWE Hall of Famer, but most importantly, one of the greatest attractions in wrestling history. He is simply Abdullah The Butcher. Abby, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be on your show, and it's always a great pleasure to see one of the Brisco brothers are still here, and his brother, I appreciated him. He was a good champion, and his brother was a good wrestler.
Abby, we go way back, but your career actually started back when you're a karate and judo guy, right? And you were really making a name for yourself, I think, in Ontario or in not Ontario, but where Ottawa. Which one was it?
Windsor, Ontario, Canada.
Windsor, Ontario. Yeah, you were making a name for yourself. And the promoter there, I think Gino Brito, saw you in a gi and saw your movements, saw how you carried yourself. And what did he do? Approach you and say, "Kiddo, I want you to be a professional wrestler." And if he did that, had you ever watched professional wrestling? While you were doing the judo and karate bit.
The main part about it was this here. It was the guy in charge of the Windsor Arena was Cito Martinello. And he told me I should go in there and do my karate and stuff like that. And he said, "Abdullah," he said, "you should be a wrestler." I said, "Oh, I don't want to be one of the wrestlers," because at that time I didn't like it. He says, "Well, Jack Britton comes by here every other day. And so I'm going to tell him, to stop in and watch you work." So when he see me doing my stuff, Jack Britton said to me, he says, "How'd you like to be a wrestler?" I said, "Well, I'm not too sure about wrestling, but whatever." He says, "I'm going to pick you up tomorrow, and I'm going to take you to Detroit, Michigan, to the wrestling office." And that's what he done. The next day, he picked me up, took me to the Detroit, Michigan, to the gym. He had an office upstairs, across the street from the Verners on Woodward Avenue. So I went there. He had a little building, and he told me to get into the ring. And all of a sudden, I got into the ring with Kirk Stroheim. Do you remember him?
I remember Kurt von Stroheim, yes.
Well, anyways, I got in the ring with him, and I started working with him. Bim, 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 bim. And Bert Ruby. Do you remember Bert Ruby?
No, I don't.
Well, Bert Ruby and Jack Britton were the promoters. And Bert Ruby said, "Oh," he told Jack, "this guy is a natural," right? And then they started talking to me in the office and stuff like that. And then I met his son, Gino Brito.
Right.
Then Gino started teaching me a lot and stuff like that. Then that was it.
What was your size then, Abby? Was you a big hefty guy then, or was you an average size guy, or what?
Oh, I was real small then. I was weighing about maybe I can't think, maybe 200, 220.
Wow.
I was 220, but I was still a mover. I could move and stuff. And
no matter what your size was, brother, you were a mover. Right? You could move.
That was it. Yeah.
So what did you think it was your personality, just the way you moved in the ring, or you just think you just had the natural instincts to be a professional wrestler?
Well, like I've always had like a bald head. You understand what I mean? Yeah. And in my opinion, even like in karate or judo or whatever, I always wanted to be different. and that was it. You know what I mean? So I got a picture here when I was the great Zila Samara when I first started. Jack Britton give me that the name of the great Zila Samara. And I got the picture if you want to look at it.
Wow, yeah, hold it up there. Hold it up there. Wow, that's you.
Great.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
How old were you then? You recall what your age was then?
I was about maybe 18 or 19.
So you basically left Canada, left home at 18, 19, went to Detroit and became a professional wrestler. How long did you stay in the Detroit area? And how was the Sheik the man at the time? Their Sheik and Bobo going through all those
Right. What happened? I went to Cobo Hall, and where all the wrestlers were watching the wrestlers wrestle, I went into that section, and the Sheik came out, and Bobo Bazil, and the Sheik said, to Bobo, "Who's that guy there?" And Bobo said, "Oh, I don't know." And then all of a sudden, Bobo Bazil came over to me and said, "Where do you wrestle at?" And I said to him, "Yakashita Momatokuyala, Mala Yati Molo Kokolo." Right? So Bobo Bazil turned around and went back to the Sheik and said, in a way, "I don't know what the hell he's talking." So then the Sheik came over. He says, "Hey, where you from?" I says, "My name is Larry Shreve." So then he took me into the dressing room, and I says, "I'm with Jack Britton and Bert Ruby and stuff like that." Then that was it.
That was it. So the star was born at that time. Did they start booking you immediately, or did you go through a process of training? And now, how was that training up in Detroit?
I wrestled. I was on channel 7, and the Sheik was on channel 17 in Windsor, Ontario. What was like a TV what went all over the world. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I was doing my stuff on channel 7 in Detroit, and I was beating people up, stuff like that. Then all of a sudden, the people started saying, "Abdullah should fight the Sheik." And that's where it started.
So the people promoted you because
Yeah.
they enjoyed you. You're just very aggressive style and just non-relenting. I mean, Larry, I got to say, man, it was very impressive. You were a huge man, a big man, but your conditioning. When I would go out with you, I watched you and Jack compete for the title a couple of times.
Right.
When you had to go out there and compete against these wrestling type guys, you didn't miss a step, right? Was that conditioning just something you had inside of you? What kind of training did you do?
Well, my thing was this. I had to give the people something different because everybody was doing drop kicks, lariats, and all this here stuff. So my thing was I had to do something. So I went in there. The first match that I worked with was Chief Whitehall. He was from around Detroit. Anyways, so we went out there and we had a hell of a match. I started chopping him in the head. Bam, bam. I started chopping him. He got a little color. And when he got the color, the people went crazy. But I did not know that the Sheik was going to come running down to save the Chief. So when I seen the Sheik coming down, I says, I better roll outside the ring and meet him. Right. So I moved out. I rode outside the ring. I met him. He said, "Get back in the ring. Get back in the ring." I said, "No." And Then I started hitting him, bam, bam, bam. He said, "You son of a bitch!" Anyways, I finally got back into the ring. The Sheik came in there, was trying to stab me and stuff like that. I started hollering, went outside, bam, 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 fought all the way back to the dressing room. But me and the Indian, we tore it down. And then the Sheik said to me, "Why did you stay in the ring?" Right? Because nobody told me that you were coming or anybody else were coming into the ring. And that was it.
Wow. So you were thrown in the ring and you really weren't smartened up at all, basically.
No.
Yeah.
What was your training like? Where did you train there in Detroit before you first started having your first matches?
Well, when I say train, I done everything like chopping the guy in the head, giving the guy a thing. I act crazy. I done this, I done that, and stuff like that. I beat my head up against the turnbuckle. I beat myself up against the pole and stuff like that. And Gino Brito said, "Abdullah, keep that style because that style makes you. The people believe in you." And that was it.
How did that style evolve? Did you see that somewhere, or did you just say, I got to be different in the ring, and this is how I'm going to be different?
Well, my thing was this. I used to go to watch the movies like Tarzan and the Africans and stuff like that, and I was watching them, and they'd be hollering, "Yeah, my uncle," saying something, right? Then he said, "Yes, Juana, yes, Juana, yes, Juana," right? So I picked up a lot of my stuff from the movies too. The Indian pictures and this and that, how wild they were, what they done and stuff like that. That was it. That's how I learned. And then I learned one time I was in Boston, and I can't think of Fred Curry's father. You remember him?
Bull Curry.
Yeah. So I went to Jack Britton sent me to Boston, and the promoter there was, I think, Tony Santos. So I'm sitting outside waiting for Tony Santos to come because all of a sudden this little guy come up to me and he says, "Oh, you're the special wrestler." And I says, "Yakata Momotololo, you Malati, Yakata go." And he got these, "You dumb son of a bitch. I'm the great Jack, the great Jack, Jack Pfeffer or something."
Oh, Jack Pfeffer. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, Pfeffer. So all of a sudden when the guy comes in and I go into his office, oh, here comes Jack Pfeffer. He says, "Will you tell this dumb son of a bitch who I am?" He said, this is the great Jack Pfeffer. I said, I didn't know who he was, and I wasn't supposed to talk to nobody because I can't talk English. I can't, like that. And then that's the way it happened.
So that's when it happened. That's when you became the Butcher, or what?
No, then they sent me to. I went to Vancouver, and when I went to Vancouver, there was the promoter there was Harriet. No, not Harriet. Well, anyways, the promoter in Vancouver, they sent me to Seattle, Washington. And the guy who took me there was Crybaby Cannon. Did you remember Crybaby Cannon?
Crybaby Cannon from Detroit, yes.
Yeah, from Detroit. No, he was from Windsor, Ontario, but he works around Detroit. So anyways, he said to me, "Abdullah, I got you a great spot, but I I would drive my car, but I can't because my car is broke down. And then at that time, I was working at Ford Motor Company, and I was working there. And I went to the guy and says, I have a chance to go back to wrestling again because I was barred, from the ring and stuff like that. The guy says, take off long as you want. If you ever want to come back to here, you still got a job. So I told Crybaby Cannon, okay, I'll go with you. I took my car. We went to Seattle, Washington, right? We drove to Seattle, Washington first. And then all of a sudden, the promoter comes up to me and says his name was Harry Ayyett in Seattle. So he got up there, he says, Abdullah, this guy, would you put him over, please? I said, yeah, put him over. They bring me all the way up here for me to do a job for this guy. I said, no problem, I'll do it. And right. So I got up there and I started doing my stuff. Then I started beating on the guy. Bam, bam, hit him with the thing. And the guy was just hollering and screaming. Harry Ayyett ran down to the ring real fast and told the referee, tell Abdullah to take it. The butcher. Tell the butcher to take it. Tell him to take it. What is his finish? Like that. And I says, finish the elbow. So anyways, the elbow. So I dropped the elbow, and all of a sudden I laid on the guy and said, me. Well, anyways, I pretty near caused a riot there. So when I get to Vancouver, Rod Fenton says to me, my partner called me and told me that you had a hell of a match. He said, you stole the show. I said, oh, thank you very much. Blah, 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 blah. He says, but we got to get you a manager. I said, I have my manager. My manager is Crybaby Cannon. He says, we didn't know that you were coming. We didn't know that you were coming up to Vancouver or Seattle, Washington. I said, yeah, but George, he says, tell Cannon to come here. So George Cannon came in. He says, when did you tell us that you were bringing this guy? He said, he says, tell me, when did you tell me that he was coming and you had a job, man? You had somebody who could really do jobs and stuff like that. So he said, well, he says, he's a liar. So he got up there and he says, we'll find you somebody, a manager, right? I said, okay, because then I was pissed off with what George Cannon done to me and brought me all the way to Vancouver, whatever. So anyways, the first time I ever met Dr. Jerry Graham, right? And they got up there and they says, Dr. Jerry Graham is going to be your manager, right? He said, but before we were up in Vancouver, there was a lot of Indians, like when I say right. Indians, Arabs and stuff like right. that. So it says, we have to, my partner says, you wrestle like a butcher. Now we got to find another name. The butcher's good. Then he said, there's a lot of Indians here, Arabs. We'll call you Abdullah the Butcher. And wow. That's how I got the name.
That's how Abdullah the Butcher came about. Well, I'm shocked. That's what a great story that is.
Yep.
How much, excuse me, how much interaction did you have with one of the most intriguing men that was ever in the history of this business, Jack Pfeffer? Did you have a lot of interaction with Jack up there? What a guy. He was known to. That's where I figured you got to know. You mentioned you're gone and met with Pfeffer there, but
I never see him. After that, I never seen Jack Pfeffer no more.
Didn't see him no more.
Didn't want to see him. Yeah. Right. That was it.
But you got your name up in Vancouver. So Abdullah the Butcher is born in Vancouver. Is that where you took on the name, took on the persona of talking and languages that nobody could understand? Dude.
I didn't even understand it myself.
I've seen you in person do that, and the guy just looks like, okay, that Butcher, you do it so well to not be saying anything.
I used to go into a restaurant, and when I went into the restaurant, they would ask me, "What would you like to eat?" I go, me, egg. Oh, you want eggs? What kind of meat you want? Bake. Oh, bacon. Toast. Coffee. I say cough. Oh, you want coffee? That was it, and that's where I started. And every time I got onto a plane, I would have like a thing saying, I give it to the guy, and he'd say, "Oh, you want to go to Chicago? You want to go here? You want to go there?" Stuff like that, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're up in Vancouver, and you meet the Graham. Is that where you first met Graham up there?
Yes, I met him, and then I wrestled him. Then he, then we had. I wrestled him. Then I wrestled Gene Kiniski.
Right. Now, had Gene already been champion, or was this before Gene?
He was the champion. He is coming in. And Thing said to me, he says, "The champion's coming in. You're going to wrestle the champion." And the building was sold out. So when I say sold out, it was packed, right? I got there, I done my stuff, bam. He made me look like $1 million. I got DQ'd on him or whatever. And then we went to the next town. And then all of a sudden, Stu Hart heard about me. And so Stu called the promoter, when you get done with Abdullah, tell him to give me a call. And then I went for Stu Hart, and Stu Hart only ran his territory in the wintertime because, the farmers were doing their thing. And I told Stu Hart, I says, Stu, I says, let's run it in the summertime too. Stu said, yeah, but it won't. I says, if you want, I'll help you to pay. He said, Ab, do you think you can do it? We opened it up. Everything people came out in the summertime, wintertime, they came out. And that was it.
You had a very, very close relationship with Stu Hart, from what I understand, and you found him. You guys had mutual respect for each other. How was it? Was all those kids just real young at the time? Brett and Owen and Ross and all those guys, were they real young kids at the time, or were they growing up?
No, like a couple of them was growing to a certain extent, but the main part about it, what happened, I told Thing, I says, what I'm going to do, when I come in the building, right, they make sure that you have a heart, one of the hearts wrestling somebody, right? So when I come in, I stop by the ring, and I go, yeah, I say that, I start hollering, yeah, come on, Watalo. And the people are going crazy. I said, come on, Watalo. And all of a sudden, I grabbed him. He came by the ring, and I grabbed him. I mean, seconds head out to the ring, and I grabbed him, give him a chop, and this little kid comes running down, right? So I grabbed the kid, I took him and I ran him into the door, right? So then when I get back to the dressing room, Stu Hart, I can't think of the guy's name. Well, anyways, he was the announcer, and he came back and he says, Stu, did you see Abdullah grab your kid and run him in the door? He says, that bastard, I would never put my hands on his kids. So he come walking over to me, and he wanted to grab me. He wanted to put his hands on me. I says, Stu, he said, Ab, why did you put your hands on my fucking kids? And I said, well, that's the way I'm going to get over. I said, but they knew what I was going to do. He says, Ab, do me a favor. Next time, kill the bastards. And that was it.
Yeah, I heard a great story Bret Hart told one time about Abdul. You know, Bret came up in the business. Of course, he was pretty smart to the business at an early age. He said one of the most terrifying and one of the most upset he ever got is when Abdullah the Butcher busted my dad open, and he turned my dad's face right towards me and said, "Kid, this is going to be you one day." Do you recall that? Bret said,
Yes.
I was so terrified. And he said at the same time, I was scared to death.
But let me tell you something. We had no more wrestlers that I could work with. And Stu Hart says, Ab, what do you think we should do now? I said, Stu, I'm going to wrestle you. Stu said, Ab, okay. The first show we had, the place was packed. The next day it was packed. I mean, like the next week it was packed. 7 times I wrestled Stu, and Stu said, Ab, what are we going to do? And I says, well, Stu, I can't beat you, so I'll get DQ'd on you. Stu says, you should be a promoter for you to make a statement like that. So we got up there, we done the thing. I started working on Stu, and I told Stu, hit me, Stu, hit me, Stu, hit me. And Stu started beating on me and stuff like that. I went crazy. Stu went crazy. We went outside, and the wrestlers came in and started pulling Stu away. Stu said, I'll kill the bastard. I'll kill him. But that was it. And then after that, Stu Hart got a phone call from what's his name? The promoter in Atlanta, Jim Barnett.
Jim Barnett, right.
He says, please, when you're finished, I would like to have Abdullah the Butcher in Australia. And Stu came to me and said, Ab, I want you to make money. I'm going to let you go, but just do me a favor. Make sure you come back. I said, Stu, I give you my word, I'll come back. And I went there to Australia, stayed there for about, I think, I was there for about 8 months, and I was getting ready to leave. And he said, Jim Barnett said, Ab, I wish you would stay here a little longer. I called Stu. Stu said, okay. I stayed here a little longer. Then that's when I was wrestling Mark Lowen, King Curtis, and all of them. Then I wrestled your brother on the TV. So what happened? I got him down and I started hitting him, right? And I took my hand and I rubbed it across his head. And he said, you son of a bitch, you son of a bitch, you son of a bitch. I said, I got you. But I didn't. But I did
He
not.
thought you gigged him, right?
Yeah. So he jumped up and he said, you son of a bitch. And he started hitting his head. So he called me over, you son of a bitch. Bah, 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 bah. I said, you're okay. I was just having a little fun with you. We had the match, boom, and stuff like that. But Jack never went for no color.
No, Eddie Graham told us at a young age when we very first started in the business. He said, "You guys will sell as your color." He said, "Keep selling like you're doing. You'll never have to get color."
Right.
I'm going to jump forward a lot of years from that match with Brother Jack, but I remember I did a situation. I told John about it not long ago. You and I were working a little program in, I think, Columbus, Georgia. And the promoter there wanted me to get juice. Well, Eddie told me never get juice. I told Fred Ward that, and he said, "Well, you're not in Florida anymore." And I said, "Yeah, but Eddie told me that to never get juice." And he fired me. And I remember you found out about it, and he came to me and he said, "Kid," he said, if I'm around, you're working with me, and one of those promoters asks you to do it, just tell them yes, because I'll cut myself bad enough where they'll think you're bleeding too." And
Right.
then the next time we worked together, you kept your promise. And man, I come out of that ring, I think I had more blood on me than you did.
Yeah. You loved it.
But I always appreciated that. I thought that's a hell of a man. You always have my respect for that. But
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
But Jack had told me, before that, how much he appreciated working with you and how you helped him out, because Jack's style was that wrestling style, and you got in the ring and you made him get out of his comfort zone, and
That's
you
right.
made him brawl a little bit. And I think that's what guys like me and my brother always appreciated about
Right.
you, because you could go with us, you could wrestle move for move and speed for speed with us, but then you wanted to do some of your stuff too, so we adapted your stuff. So you always brought us out of that comfort zone, and that's what I always respect about you, because you could brutalize with the best of them, the Dusty Rhodes, the Terry Fox, and all those guys. But you could also get down and wrestle with the Jack Briscoes, the Billy Robinsons, and the guys like that.
Right.
Billy was one of your favorite opponents too, right?
Right. I wrestled him I was with him in the first time I met him was in Calgary, Alberta. And he was a stretcher, So he went to Stu Hart. He says, Stu says, "Oh, you're working with Abdullah." So he said to Stu, "Well, let me go there and teach him a lesson." And Stu Hart says, "Billy, I don't think you should try to do that shit on him, because he's got something for you." Like that. And we went out there. We had a hell of a match. Whatever. Boom, 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 boom. Then I wrestled him in Japan, and they said they told Billy, we'd like for you to do the favor for Abdullah. And he said, "No problem." We went out there, we tore the house down. And it was 2 out of 3. I got up there, and he took the first one. I got the first one he took. Then the second one I took, and then I snatched him. I started working on his leg, and he started screaming, like where he couldn't walk. And I beat him because he couldn't finish the match. In Japan, the people went crazy, and that was it.
And that was a title match, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was for the heavyweight championship, right?
Right. Yep. And the Funk brothers, they were great. They're great. I worked with them so many times. I always respected Terry. I mean, I respected his brother too, but Terry Funk was a hell of a worker, a hell of a champion, and that was it.
Did you ever have the opportunity to be around Dory Sr. in here, or was he passed before you got there?
Well, they wanted me. Dory Funk and Terry said, "My father wants you to come into Texas," right? And I said, "Okay, I'll come in, but I got to do this, blah, 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 whatever." So, but the father died. And then I said, he said, well, my father passed, but we want you to come into the territory. So I says, okay. So I went into the territory, and Terry Funk always said to me this. I said, Terry, oh, you got a beautiful pair of, I think they were alligator boots or whatever. I says, if you want me to come in, if you get me a pair of those boots, I'll come in. Now, like at that time, those boots must have been about $1,500 or more, you know, the boots. So he said, you'll have them. So I come into the territory, and I walk in the dressing room, and Terry says, Abdullah, come here. I got something for you. In front of all the boys, Abdullah, I got something for you. So he had the box. He wanted me to open up the box in front of all the boys, right? So I took the box and I went into the toilet, and I opened up the box. There was the alligator boots, but they were so old and so much shit was on. They had so much shit on them and stuff like that, you know. So I walked out in the thing. I said, Terry, I love him. Thank you very much. Because he thought that I was going to pull him out and all the boys would start laughing, right?
Yeah.
I beat him to the punch. That was it.
That's great. What a great story. How was your heat already pretty hot right then? You know, like when you started up in Vancouver, up in Calgary, you go to Australia. What kind of heat were you getting from the crowds? Did you have problems getting in and out of the
world, sir? Anybody who was on top, I would tell the promoter, I'm going to be on top. And that's why a lot of the wrestlers did not want Abdullah the Butcher on the same card as them. Now, what's his name? Hogan. I wrestled Hogan in Japan. We tore the place down, right? Tore it down, and he got color for me. Bam, bam, bam. He's bleeding out. I was just doing my stuff like that. We sold everything out in Japan, and Hogan said to me, Abdullah, listen to me, please. I'm going to talk to Vince McMahon. I'm going to bring you in, but you're not going to wrestle nobody but me, and I'll make you so much money, it's unbelievable. So when we talked to Vince started talking to the other wrestlers. The other wrestlers said, oh, he's going to do this, he's going to stab in the blood, this and that. That was cut.
Well, back in those days too, I think the commission had a big part to do with that too, right?
Yeah. Not the commission, because everybody was getting juiced in to a certain extent. Right. You see, and that was it. Then I went into Montreal. I packed Montreal. Every place I went, I packed. I was different.
Hey, Abby, when I was asking about heat, I meant heat with the fans, the crowd. I mean, yes.
Were you
how was it say outside of the arenas, getting to the arenas? I mean, did you have brawls trying to get in and out of the dressing room? Most of the time people ran from you, but I was just interested about how much heat you were carrying with the crowd and the fans.
Well, let's put it this way. The people feared me outside the ring, but they did not bother me when I got out of a car. You understand?
Yeah.
I put that kind of fear into them. Don't mess with Abdullah's, stuff. And that was it.
Well, they had so much fear for you inside the ring, but they knew that if they said something outside the ring as you were getting out of your car coming in, that you would turn into Abdullah outside.
They'd beat the shit out of me. If I turned on them, all those people would say, let's get them right now outside.
Yeah. Well, you know the truth. I mean,
come on, give me a break. I mean, you can fear people to a certain extent, correct? But then if there's only one person who says, let's get this son of a bitch, And that's it. They got you. Yep.
You worked for Vince Senior in the 70s, right?
I worked for him only for I think Seattle TV. I think it was Seattle TV, but I never worked at the buildings. They wanted me on TV for Seattle, and I think Jack Britton sent me up there or whatever. And I was wrestling. I think it was Bill Miller or somebody. I was wrestling him, and they wanted me to put him over. And he said to me, "Listen, kid, don't put nobody on this. Don't put nobody over on this TV." He says, "You have it in for you to be a wrestler, a great wrestler," and he wouldn't beat me. And that was it. So from that day on, I just, that was it.
Dr. Bill Miller, what a gentleman he was, and what a great performer he was in the ring too. But he was a stand-up man along with his brother Danny Miller.
Right, both of them. And we had what was it now? We had a tag team match, and what's the guy's name? Well, it'll probably come to me. Anyways, we have a thing, and they said, and the promoter went up there and said, "We'd like for what's the guy's name?" He was a black wrestler, but Bill Miller. They asked Bill Miller to put him over, and he said, "I would never put that son of a bitch over because he would not." What's his damn name? Well, anyways, he said, "But we will put over Abdullah the Butcher," and that was it. Yeah. You remember the guy who used to do all the funny moves, like if you got him in like in the like choking him by the neck or something like that. He'd do that little dance and come out of it. I can't think of his name. Well, anyways. That's
like Junkyard Dog or one of those guys?
No. He was a tall guy. He had a bald head, and that was it.
Bearcat?
Bearcat Wright. That's him. Bearcat Wright. Yeah, Bearcat Wright. And they said they told the promoter, "We will put over him, Abdullah, but we will not put that son of a bitch over." And that's it. Yep.
Well, that goes back to the respect that you garnered from all the talent, during your days in the business, and that had to mean something to you coming from a guy, because Bill Miller, he was one of the guys that was really looked up to in the business during that time.
Oh yes. These guys, look, it's like I tell one time. Let me tell you something. I was Blackjack Mulligan. I was in Chicago. Blackjack brought me in there, and I'm out there working on Blackjack. Bam, 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 and he's dying. Big guy like him. I'm stabbing him. Boom, 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 boom. We pretty near cause a riot. I go into the dressing room, and he says, soon Blackjack comes in, "What did you do out there?" He said, "Listen, if you want to make money with this guy, Abdullah the Butcher, this is how you get him over." And he grabbed his bag. He says, "Go fuck yourself," and walked out and never been back. Oh, yeah. That's it. Yep.
Did you find it? Go ahead.
Mulligan walked out.
Pardon?
Was it Mulligan that walked out?
Yeah. He grabbed his bag. He said, "If you want to make money with this guy, this is how you get this guy over." You see? Now, he could have came back on the next match. We could have sold the place all over and over. You understand? But he wasn't putting up with his shit. You know what I mean? That was it. He didn't care. Blackjack Mulligan did not care. And Blackjack Mulligan could whoop my ass anytime he wanted to. And
Now
that's it.
Tell me this, Abby. You traveled the world over. I mean, I can't think of a country that you probably didn't perform in, but where was your most brutal match that you think you ever had, and who was it with, and how was it?
All the matches, every guy I wrestled, it was a great match. Bruiser Brody, we could tear houses down, beat each other up and stuff like that. Bruiser Brody, the Funk Brothers, everybody who I wrestled, I made them and they made me. You understand? Because they knew how to produce. Right. They knew what they had to do to me. They knew how to get me over. And for me, I knew how to get them over. And that was it.
I read somewhere where over in Japan, speaking of brutal matches, they wanted you to do a barbed wire match, and you just shook your head. No, I don't need to do a barbed wire match.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, they said to me, listen, you're a wild man, you're this, you're that, this and that, but we want to have a barbed wire match with you. I said, no, I will not have a barbed wire match. You understand?
Why, Larry?
Why? Because in a way, I wasn't scared of the thing, but a lot of people did not know how to work a barbed wire match. They would throw you into the damn wire, scar you up and stuff like that. I said, no, I'm not going for that. You can do anything else. Now, me and Dusty Rhodes, we had barbed wire matches because he knew how to work them. But you can't work with some guy who don't know how to work them. And a lot of the Japanese guys did not know how to work a barbed wire match.
No, they didn't know how to work.
I'm serious. I mean, like, if you told a guy to take my fork and stab me, right? Yeah. He didn't know how to do it. Yeah. He stabbed me for real. You understand? No, that was it.
Abby, when did the fork come out? When did you first think about something like a kitchen utensil that became such a part of you after a while?
Well, I was in the restaurant, me and Honest John, and I was eating with the fork. I said, oh, I like this fork. Right? Honest John picked up the fork, took it out, and I'm in the ring wrestling. Honest John, and he hands me the fork. When I hit the guy with the fork, the people went crazy. It went insane. But I was using forks. I was using popsicle sticks. I was using so many things. You understand? I had so many gimmicks. It was unbelievable. And that was it.
And when did you first start thinking that something like this would work for your character? Was this all just the development of your character, or just a progression that normally happened?
People wanted what? Something different. You understand? And every time that I done something different, the people went crazy. Why did the people for so many years keep coming to see me? I've been around for a long time. You understand? And this is it. Puerto Rico. Went to Puerto Rico, sold the place out many, many, many times. Fought Brody there. I fought the Andre the Giant there. I fought everybody there. And we packed everything. And that was it. See.
The crowds in Puerto Rico, I mean, they were terrified because I've worked with you, I think, one time in San Juan at Roberto Clemente. And right. I remember walking out there and you walking out, and all you had to do was stop and kind of look over your shoulder or look to the side, and people would just clear a path forever. I mean, it was one of the most fascinating things I'd ever seen as a young man in the ring. But man, those Puerto Rican fans, they were scared to death of you, but you had built that persona up where, they believed it. They believed you 100%. And half the time, I believe you too, Abby.
You know what's funny? When I went to Australia, you understand? even the wrestlers who was in Australia, when they would come to, try to save the other guy, they wouldn't come to me. And if I went to them, they would run out of the ring. It was amazing. That was it. Yep. You remember Don Leo Jonathan?
Yeah.
Don Leo Jonathan, I was in Vancouver, and Don was a big guy. He could do anything.
Big athletic guy, yeah.
Right. He could do anything, right? And my partner then was, they bought him in, what's his name? Armand Hussein. You remember him?
Yes.
Okay, Armand Hussein. So Jack Britton, Thing said to me, he says, he's going to be your partner. So I said, oh, okay. He says, now, when I get up there and I do my prayers, I'll be in the corner doing my prayer. And Armand Hussein would say, listen, I am that. I'm from the University of England, right? So, you remember Patty Barrett?
I remember Patty, yes. Hell of a worker.
So with Don Leo Jonathan, Patty Barrett against me and Armand Hussein. So we're up there doing our stuff, blah, 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 blah. So all of a sudden, Thing says to Thing, when the time's right, Patty Barrett, you tag me and let me come in real fast. He came in the ring, grabbed that Armand Hussein, worked on him, bam, 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 and picked him up and slammed him, right? Bam. And then we won the titles that night. And Don Leo Jonathan came in there and says, was the match okay for you, Armand? Yes. But Don Leo Jonathan was a tough man. Yes.
Yeah, he was what a big guy he was. I met Don Leo in Australia as he was leaving and I was coming in there. I always wanted to be around him because I'd heard so many stories, but I was never really around him. But I heard he was a stand-up good guy too.
Oh yeah, he was a diver.
Right. That's what because I was a scuba diver. That's where I learned to scuba dive. Just from some of the stories I was hearing about Don Leo in Australia.
Right. But the main part about it, he was. I've always liked him, and he always told me, he said, Abdullah, whatever you do, don't let nobody pick you up and slam you 50 times. That was it. But Don Leo Jonathan was a great man. Great. Yep. And then who else was it? There was a lot of them.
Yeah.
Great workers.
Yeah. We touched on Terry Funk a little bit, but to tell us, you were around Terry in the very beginning too of Terry's wild career, and it morphed into being a crazy chainsaw Terry, as a lot of the fans nowadays know. But you knew Terry when he was one of those young scientific wrestlers too. Did you see that? Did you see that progression of Terry making over in Japan? Because that's where Terry would go to kind of experiment with the styles with Japan all the time. Every time Terry would go to Japan, all the guys back in the States, when Terry comes back, we're going to see a different Terry Funk. And sure enough, we saw a different Terry Funk. Were you able to see that when you were working with him? And what do you think of Terry's, hardcore when he started becoming hardcore?
Let me tell you something first. Giant Baba said to me, Abdullah, we're going to have one of the promoters, Fritz Von Erich,
right,
to book guys over here, or the Funk brothers and their father, the old man. He says, who do you want? I said, I want the Funk brothers. And that was it. And they were booking guys for a long time.
Right.
But Terry Funk, in my opinion, would do anything. Remember Dickie Slater?
Right. Very well, yeah.
everything with Terry Funk done, Dickie Slater was pretty much doing it.
Yeah, I always laughed at Dickie Slater. I said he couldn't make up his mind whether he wanted to be Terry Funk or Harley Race.
That's right. You're right. And Terry Funk, in my opinion, was a great. When I say great, he would do anything. He would tell me, hit the air, get the air, arm, leg, stomach. He would do everything. And that's why we drew money, because he didn't care. He did not care. Yep.
You had a great tag team when you first, I guess when your first trips to Japan, and that was with another wild man that Stan Hansen said he patterned his energy after, was a Tiger Jeet Singh. How wild was it you guys coming out together as a tag team with Tiger Jeet Singh?
Well, Tiger Jeet Singh was a great wrestler. Stan Hansen was a great wrestler. If he ever hit you with that, if he ever hit you with that lariat, you understand?
I think we all been in receipt of that.
Yeah.
But Stan Hansen in Japan was a great worker. Same thing with he was great. They were all Brody, all of them were great. And if everybody would have got together and opened up their own territory with these guys, nothing could touch you.
Abby, in your mind and your opinion there, you mentioned some great guys. Bruiser Brody, Stan Hansen, Terry Funk. These guys were major stars in the United States. But when they went to Japan, they were different, and they become not just great stars, they became celebrities. They become accepted by the Japanese people over there. And like yourself, what do you think that quality is? And that you could pass on to some of the younger folks out there watching it to kind of develop. Just be yourself, or get a character inside of you. How would you give advice to some of these young guys?
You got to let the people know that you are a violent wrestler. You understand? That's number one. You got to let the people know that you're tough. You don't give a damn about nothing. You understand?
Right.
When I went to Japan, I went there, and when I hit the ring, I was wrestling with no boots or nothing on. I hit the ring. When the people see me, I started beating my head with the fork in my head. Then I'd beat myself against the ring pole. And I look at the people, and I walk towards them. Even Baba's wife took out running from the stands, right? And Baba said, "My wife feared the death of you." See, so you had to put the people in certain things. It's like when you put a sleeper on somebody. If the guy didn't go to sleep, you understand? They didn't believe it.
Right.
And that was it. If a guy goes to the top rope and jumps across your neck, and the guy beats you up, they know it's not real.
With guys like Terry and Brody and Stan and yourself, do you think a lot of that is the size that these guys had, that people and that the size made you the star that you were? Or do you think it was the personality that coming out of you?
Well, the main part about it was this. Your whole thing is knowing how to be tough. Dory Funk, Terry Funk, yourself, who else was it? All these guys were tough, and they could fight if it came to push and shove. Maurice Bashar was the same way. He was a short guy, but he could fight. You understand?
Right.
So all these people, you have to what? You got to put fear. If you're a hell of a wrestler, you got to be able to wrestle good, but you have to beat somebody with a wrestling hold. My thing was what? What did I do? Every time that I beat somebody, I beat them with a gimmick. And that was it.
You had some classic battles with the guy we mentioned a little bit earlier, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Well, he was an enjoyable guy to work in the ring with. You guys had some classic matches and some classic bloodbath matches. What did you think of those matches with the Dream?
Well, the Dream could never beat me, right? And he put me in a match with what was that match I had? It was on the electric chair match. You remember that?
Mick Foley and Sting, I believe.
No, it wasn't Sting. It was
Mick Foley.
No, I mean Nick Foley. He was my partner, but he was supposed to turn the light, turn the switch on. What's his name? They were two brothers.
The Steiner?
No, well, anyways, what happened? Dusty Rhodes said to me, Abdullah, you're going to grab the guy, go to put him into the electric chair, Cactus Jack, you will holler at Cactus Jack, Jack will hit the switch, and then, right, as soon as you put the guy in the electric chair, your hands would be locked, right? But he said, okay, I done that. I had the guy, I looked at Jack, at the same time, the guy switched me and I went into the electric chair. And then all of a sudden, the locks hooked my arms and shit. Then all of a sudden, I got up there and I'm hollering, and Jack hit the switch and all of a sudden the fire started coming up, right? But Dusty Rhodes didn't tell me that he was going to send out 12 guys in white suits, right? To carry me out of the electric chair. So as soon as the guys, they open up the door, I come out. Bam, I beat him. Threw him off the stage. Bam, 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 bam. I beat up 12 guys. Right? And then Jim Barnett says, Dusty, Abdullah got stronger and stronger when he came out and beat up 12 men. And that was it. Yeah.
What did Dusty say when you got back?
What he said?
Well, yeah, what did he say when you when you beat up the guys that were sent to carry you back?
He said, listen, my brother, you're a hell of a worker.
Let's come back next week and draw another house.
Yeah, but every time that me and Dusty Rhodes wrestled, everything was packed, and Dusty would come to me and say, it's like playing Ring Around the Rosie. There's so many people out there, they're around the building. Yeah. That was it.
Was Bruiser Brody probably your greatest rival? Because I guess when people think of your greatest rival with Brody, but was it just the chemistry that you guys had? What was it that made it click so well between you and Bruiser?
Bruiser Brody knew how to work. Abdullah the Butcher knew how to work. Bruiser Brody knew what the people wanted. You understand?
Right.
And I knew what the people wanted. I wrestled Bruiser Brody in Australia. You understand? We had great matches, and he never potatoed me. Never. And that was it. We took care of each other. One time, we were in a town, and me and Brody said to me, Abdullah, listen, you watch the front door, and I'll watch the back door, right? So we get in the ring, bam, 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 bam. All of a sudden, the promoter sneaks outside, tries to get to his car. Me and Brody was out there waiting for the promoter. And that's the way we got paid. because
Was the promoter trying to stiff you guys?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yep. It was unbelievable. Now you know for a fact that Bruiser Brody was a tough guy.
Right.
You know, he didn't give a shit about the promoters. He didn't give a damn about nothing. Yep.
All he wanted was, like, he wanted to get paid what he earned.
That's right.
Yeah.
He wanted. You see, what really went on with us was this. We drew money, but we really didn't get paid what we deserved. You see, that was it. We didn't get paid. We got paid to a certain extent, but we did not really get the big money. If we would have had lawyers in those days to handle our business, like what's going on now, we'd have been multimillionaires. And that's it. Yep.
You know, it's very similar, Abby, to say the NFL or the NBA. You know, guys that played, you know, like Bob Cousy in the NBA, or Bill Walton before the merger. Yeah, those guys were great stars, but they didn't make the money that the guys made. Let's say Michael Jordan came along, or later Tom Brady came along. You know, it's just a weird thing that you got these massive stars that the money came a few decades later.
Right. But the main part about it is this. How many times when you went on TV that you got $15?
A bunch of time. I remember, you know, the deal down there in Florida, Abby, if you recall, if you went over, you did get paid for TV. If you did a job, you got $15 or $25, depending on what Eddie wanted to pay you.
Right. Yeah. But the main part about it, when I was in Detroit, I asked Gino. I said, Gino, I says, what do you get paid for TV? Gino says, well, sometimes 15, and sometimes, you know. I said, holy shit, 1,500? I said, damn. So I was on TV five times. And I said, Gino, when do they pay me like my TV money? So Gino says, well, you probably get it today. Bert Ruby came to me, Quito, come here, Quito. He said, don't tell nobody, but I'm giving you extra, right?
Wow.
And he had me like an envelope, and I went into the bathroom, right? No, he called me in the bathroom. He gave me the envelope, and I took 5 cents and I put it in, you know, to go to the toilet. And I was flushing the toilet at the same time. I was tearing the paper open. You know, I'm in the envelope, so he wouldn't hear me open up the envelope. So I got up there. I pulled out one check, and it had 50. I said, "Oh, $15. I looked at the other one. 50. 5 checks, 5 TVs, $15 each, and $75. And I said, Gino, I says, they says, well, if you go over, they give you $10. If you go up, they give you $15. I said, holy shit, I can't make it. Gino reached in his pocket. I'll never forget this. And that's why I respect Gino Brito. Gino reached in his pocket and gave me $250. He said, here, Abdullah, take this. And I took it. I said, I don't know. He said, don't worry about it. And he used to slip me money to the side all the time like that. And that was it. Yep. But all the other promoters, you didn't make no damn money on TV. No. And all the wrestlers who are good wrestlers, who could beat the average star out there today, is a job man. They could beat you. It became the push and shove. Yep. So,
what did you think when you came out? You were so different from everybody else, and then you had the hardcore wave kind of came after you, maybe because of you. And then, but you had entire federations that were hardcore or, quote, hardcore. What did you think about that trend when you had stuff like in Japan and in America, where all of a sudden now the whole show becomes almost a hardcore type show?
Because they knew where the money was at. They said all this here stuff, wrestling and all this here stuff is not hitting it. And right now, push and shove, I've always told the promoters, this is a circus. You need what? You need guys like Calhoun. Remember Calhoun?
Right. Haystack Calhoun for sure.
Tex McKenzie, who was skinny. Small guys like Wrestling number 2. All these guys, it was a circus. We were like Abdullah the Butcher. You understand? The people wanted to see certain things, and I was different. Calhoun was different. And that was it.
Did you take a certain amount of pride when you saw shows like ECW and say, hey, man, that entire show is centered around what my career was built off of?
I didn't follow that.
Did you take a certain amount of pride when you saw that, or was you kind of, hey, man, they're ripping my style off there? What was your thought about ECW coming on, or the hardcore there?
They could do hardcore, but I could do it better.
There you go.
I wasn't worried about them. I knew whatever they done, I done something different.
And did it better.
That's it.
Yeah. So what are you up to now, Abby? Are you I know you. I saw a video last week on YouTube that you had an autograph session, and man, congratulations! That line was like the old days. It was wrapped around the building like Dusty
Rhodes,
like a merry-go-round. Man, they just kept on coming.
The people, listen to me, please. The people still want to see me, right? The only thing I need is my hip replacement, and I got my legs. If you want me to kick my legs out, you want to see them, I'll let you see me kicking them. But the main part about it is this. My body is in tip-top shape. You understand? So the only thing what I can do is autograph sessions. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
But when I go have my operation, maybe at 93, I might step in the ring at 94. I mean 84, right?
Yeah. So do you have a GoFundMe page that the fans here that can contribute to it for your hip replacement, or how are you handling that?
I'm having it for my legal battle.
Okay.
That's what I'm having it for. But the main part about it is this. The people have helped me, and what's his name? Jarrett.
Oh, Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho.
Jericho.
In my opinion, is a hell of a man. I appreciate him 100%.
He's a great guy. He's a great human being. I've known Chris for a long time.
Yes.
He's a good guy.
So,
have you ever met Chris in person?
Pardon?
Do you know Chris Jericho in person?
No, I don't think so.
Well, this shows you right there what a good man he is. I mean, you guys have never met, but he respects you from what you built in this business there, and he's very generous in his ways of life. So
I appreciate that.
So how can the folks get a hold of you, Abby, to kind of help you out, to help book you on some things? John and I will be glad to put a tag up here on how to book Abby.
Okay, do me a favor. To get a hold of me and to make arrangements is Mrs. Malika.
Yes, you can reach me at 770-896-6377. 770-896-6377 for bookings.
Okay. And you're taking bookings. You're not getting in the ring, right, Larry? You can't get in the ring.
Right.
No, just autograph sessions, meet and greets, and autograph sessions.
Great.
Yes.
We'll be glad to put that out there for you, and hopefully you'll get some results from it.
Appreciate it.
Abby, do you at least bring your fork with you just in case?
Pardon?
Do you at least bring your fork with you just in case?
Oh yeah, I always bring my fork.
I remember in Philadelphia, you were standing there, and I actually snuck up behind him, John, and grabbed one of his forks and started jabbing him. And you know what? He didn't sell me worth a damn.
Right. Can I show you one more picture?
Oh, please show us all the pictures you want, man.
This is my favorite. I give this man the respect. I'll never forget him. Never.
Tell him who it is.
You want to see the picture?
It's glaring there. I can't see who it is there.
Back it up.
How's that?
That's okay, T.
That's Stu Hart.
Stu Hart.
Stu Hart. All right.
Awesome.
With Abdullah the Butcher.
And that's you? That's a young Abdullah the Butcher there?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Great.
Tell him
About what year was that, Abby?
Pardon?
You remember what year that was?
Oh, it's been so long.
I don't know what you mean. I couldn't tell you either.
And the family, Mrs. Hart, used to make me, on my birthday, she always made me a birthday cake, right? And I told Stu one time, I said, Stu, why does your wife always bring me a chocolate cake with chocolate candles? He said, well, take a look at yourself. I said, right? I said, but do me a favor, tell her next time to make me a white cake. and then, but we were real close. Even from this day, even with the Funk brothers, I respect them and I like them, and I always did like them. And Stu Hart, in my opinion, he'll never die. Never. He was a great promoter. A great promoter.
Yeah, you think of what he did with what he had. I mean, it's an iconic territory. Everybody in the world remembers Calgary, and that was not a place where a lot of guys wanted to go because of the weather elements up there. But everybody that ever worked up there has nothing but praise for the territory and nothing but praise for the entire Hart family. I know I met Stu personally, and what a great guy he was, and what an interesting guy he was. Always entertaining and always out to take care of the wrestler.
That's right. And he used to get his kick when he used to stretch Archie Goldie. He said, Ab, he says, I had Archie Goldie in here and I was stretching him and he was screaming. And when I let him go, he ran out the door. Yeah, that was
I would too.
Yeah.
Well, Abby, thank you so much for joining us. It's a tremendous honor to finally meet you and get to talk to you and hear your stories.
All right.
That's awesome.
I'm in good shape.
Yeah.
I need somebody's head. Like the Brisco.
There you go, right there. Not as much hair as I used to have, but it's there. Larry, thanks so much, Abby. We appreciate it. I mean, when I talked to you, I was actually intimidated to ask you to come on our podcast, but
Sir, what did I tell you? I'm only doing it for your brother because he was a good man to me.
Me too.
Your brother. That's why I came on. If he was not a Brisco, I wouldn't be on his show. I done it for your brother. And I told you that, didn't I?
You told me that. Yeah, you said it.
And I respected him. And that was it.
You know the respect that our family has towards you and always has been, man. And we're just honored to have you on it. Abby, if anything we can do to help you, if you want to promote anything, just send me a text. Have Monique send me a message up. We'll be glad to have a message on here for you. So we appreciate your time and everything and sharing your stories. Man, what a great career of one of the most interesting guys ever that walk into this business, man. Thank you so much.
I want to say one other thing, and I'm not going to say it now. The fans made Abdullah the Butcher. They're the ones who make the wrestlers. If it wasn't for them, we'd be nothing. Thank you very much. And make sure you take care of your mother and your father.
There you go. Thank you, Evan.
All right.